whatever you say matters so much to your child because that's what they take in, that's what they hear, and that's how their belief systems, everything is built that way. So I think parents have to be really careful in terms of how you're speaking to a child because this can make or break their self-esteem. When it comes to self-esteem, it's not only validating them constantly, but recognizing them, right? Recognizing them as they are. If they make mistakes, it's okay to let them make mistakes. You don't have to punish them for making mistakes. You have to encourage them for trying. I don't think shyness or introversion is something, like you said, is a problem to fix or a problem to solve, right? There are different personality types. People are very, very different. They might be introverted. If you're having some kind of issues in their marriage, the parents are having some kind of marital issues. I don't think it's appropriate to involve the children in this. I think it's very important for parents to remember the child is not your friend. Sharing things has to be to a limit.
Hey Vidhi, thank you for joining today.
Hi, Zaheen. Thank you so much for having me. It's an absolute pleasure to meet you today.
Okay, so before we go ahead, I want you to tell us a little bit about yourself and what inspired you to get into school counseling.
Okay, absolutely. So my name is Vidhi, and I have graduated. I've done my MSc in clinical psychology from Royal Holloway, University of London, and I am currently working as a school counselor. I have also done a couple of courses and things like that to keep up with my skills. And for school counseling, I remember telling my employer when I was going through the process that I think working with kids has been a very rewarding process for me. I I have worked with kids previously in an internship, and I think it's just extremely, extremely rewarding. You can see when you see that kind of movement or change, that impact you really create in them, and you can really notice it. It's very, very rewarding. So I think that's why I personally have been working as a school counselor.
Okay, and how long it
Yeah.
has been that you started working as a counselor, school counselor?
Uh, it's been a year and 2 months as of now.
Okay, so tell me,
Mm.
in that 1 year, what was the most surprising thing about children?
I think surprising, I think honestly, realizing how sensitive they are, just they're very, very sensitive and aware beings. I noticed a lot in whilst working there, like how emotional they are, how sensitive they are to the environment in general, right? They tend to pick up on things. They're very, very aware. Like if I'm saying something, they're able to model it so well. The way they check us, they look at us, and they imitate us, right? It really makes you realize how aware they are of their surroundings and how modeling actually and imitation actually works in children. You notice them picking up on things that you weren't aware that you were saying. Supposing you say something or you stand in a particular way, they will adopt that instantaneously, right? That's how aware they are of their surroundings. And that's why I think you also have to be so aware of what you're saying to them and how you're speaking to them, each word, each action that you take. So I think you have to be extremely aware during that process.
Okay,
Yeah.
are very good at observation, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think they're very, very observant and they notice a lot of things that we may not. Like even the way you are, like your emotional moods, they'll be able to pick it up so easily. So yeah.
Okay, and what are the
Yeah.
common issues that children come with to you?
Common issues. I would say, as of lately, it's been a lot of relational issues in older kids. So they're having parent-child issues at home, back at home. I have noticed certain conflicts between friends because just conflict resolution isn't a skill that they're trying to build up on, but isn't as present as it needs to be. There's grief, there's separation, there is a phase of life changes. And recently, I've noticed a lot more in terms of how a lot of children have their parents are getting diagnosed with certain terminal illnesses or just illnesses in general, and how children are coping with it. These are the cases I have been getting as of lately.
Okay, and how you help them with the anxiety issues and all when they go through these phases?
So,
Yeah.
right, anxiety, I think a lot of people miss out on anxiety in kids is noticing the physical symptoms first off is it's not just headaches or stomach aches. It's just not. I think you have to rule them out to make sure it's not anxiety. A lot of them may not attend school. There's school refusal, right? There may be a lot of they may not want to. They may not be attending school due to certain reasons. They may have stomach aches or frequent because obviously our vagus nerve is connected our gut and our brain, right? So the first thing that tends to I see in anxious children or just anxious people in general is that their stomach is not doing well. They have gut issues, headaches. Also, I feel like in children, it's not really expressed as worry. Anxiety is not really expressed as worry. Sometimes it's more of acting out that fear. It's just they're operating based on that fear and that worry. So I think it's really misinterpreted, and you have to really pick up on the signals.
Okay. And I want to understand when kids are
Mm-hmm.
facing these issues, first of all, their
Hmm.
parents have to notice these signs, right? Signs of anxiety, or
Yes.
maybe
Yes.
they have to notice that they are going through some phase, some problems in
Mm-hmm.
lives. So,
Mm-hmm.
how does this work? Like, parents come to you or teachers come to you with the kids that they have some issues. Do you have to help them?
Hmm. So it comes with both, right? Because I feel like in our system, the parents are very well aware as well as the teachers. One huge great thing that happens in our school is also we have a lot of self-referrals. So the kids come themselves because they're so acquainted with our office that they know that our team is there to support them emotionally through any kind of challenge that they're going through. So also teachers tend to come. Teachers tend to write up referrals if they see something that's going on with the child because they're there 24/7. Parents also do come, but I have noticed a high amount of self-referrals, to be honest. They just walk in and tell us they want to talk to us or there's something going on. So yeah, it's quite mixed.
Okay. As you said that parents, like there are very few parents who come to you. So I want to
Mm-hmm.
know that what are the parenting mistakes like most parents do?
Right. I wouldn't want to blame any kind of parents. I understand parenting is extremely, extremely difficult. And it's just this is my perspective on what I've seen outside. I wouldn't say in the school, but outside, I have seen from relatives attending events, seeing my friends, family, everything like that. I've just noticed children, I think in our cultural context, I think abuse is very much very, very normalized, like physical abuse or even emotional abuse, right? In physical abuse, I mean just hitting them or slapping them and hoping their behavior will be corrected. And that's not really how it goes. That's not really how it works. And physical abuse, emotional abuse, I mean, ignoring the child, abandoning them in certain ways. If they're crying, they just tend to leave them to cry. They don't help them emotionally regulate themselves. They tell them to ignore the child whilst the child is crying emotion and when they're physically abusing them, they're hitting them, they think that this will modify or correct their behavior, which isn't really accurate, right? It's creating a lot of frustration and resentment in that child that either gets pent up and that explosion happens in terms of anger at school, anger outbursts just in general, or that suppression just keeps them in fear and a lot of anxiety. So it goes both ways. It comes out either way. It's either implosion or an explosion of emotions for the child because they're not able to navigate that, right? I think that is one of the biggest things. I think abuse is very, very, very normalized in our cultural context, which I think is a mistake on parents' end because I think there are better ways to help a child through problems, maybe by listening to them, by validating their emotions, right? Saying that I understand that you're upset right now. If a parent works from a more regulated nervous system, the child is able to model the same. So I think that is one thing I've really noticed outside when I've just been going for events and things like that.
Okay. And I see a lot of parents, as you said, parents hit their kids. And when I
Hmm.
also see parents hitting their kids, I'm like, maybe you have to speak to them or make them
Hmm.
understand. बट मोस्ट ऑफ द पेरेंट्स
Right.
लाइक कि ये सुनते नहीं, दे वेरी स्टबर्न,
Hmm.
बहुत जिद्दी है।
Yeah.
हाँ, उनको मतलब बिना मारे कुछ होगा नहीं। देन व्हाट आर द
Hmm.
कि वो उनको समझाए, मतलब कैसे हैंडल करना है बच्चों को जो बहुत जिद्दी हैं।
See, stubbornness comes from something, right? They have to understand they either have a need or a want for something. That's when stubbornness comes up for them. They want something, they need something. I think I understand that some parents don't like the gentle parenting approach, right? They prefer that it's okay, they just have to hit them, they will get over it, right? I think sometimes it's okay to have them throw a temper tantrum. You have to regulate yourself, you step back from it. Sometimes they may not listen at all, right? Like you said, बहुत जिद्दी है, they don't listen. But you have to step back and give them instructions. Tell them that I see that I see that you're very angry in this moment, and I'm giving you options, right? Giving them options, making them choose. That will help they'll understand that they have autonomy in this situation. They have agency to pick a choice, giving them options that either you do this or you do that. And if you can't do this right now, and if you're going to be continue behaving like that, I'm going to step back for a few moments and you can talk to me when you're feeling a little more regulated or you're a little more calm, right? Being a little firm is okay. I think being firm, that line gets blurred between being angry constantly or being firm. I think communication in that way is very important. The parents have to be firm and very, very regulated.
Okay. And a lot of parents, they compare their kids with their siblings, their classmates. So how does this impact their self-esteem and confidence level?
Right. I feel like self-esteem is something like it's their worldview, right? Self-esteem is kind of like they're they're wearing glasses and self-esteem is that tint to the glasses. That's how they view and perceive the world and themselves, right? It affects a lot of things. It affects just how they go about life. So I think parents can really build that up. But when you compare a child constantly at home to their siblings or their neighbors, you may hear oh, this one got so many grades and you didn't get as much. You're constantly putting that child down. Either they'll become someone who's very timid, or they'll accept that, okay, fine, that I can't do anything, I can't live up to my parents' expectations. They've already set the bar too high, and I am not worthy, I am not capable. So they shrink and shut down to fit into that mold that the parents have already created for them. Or they start they start resenting other kids. They start becoming angry. They start getting very irritated. They start showing that resentment towards their siblings or any kids. So it happens in very, very different ways. But whatever you say matters so much to your child because that's what they take in, that's what they hear. And that's how their belief systems, everything is built that way. So I think parents have to be really careful in terms of how you're speaking to a child because this can make or break their self-esteem.
Yeah. And how parents can boost self-esteem and confidence level of their kids.
Right. I feel like it's not only when it comes to self-esteem, it's not only validating them constantly, but recognizing them, right? Recognizing them as they are. If they make mistakes, it's okay to let them make mistakes. You don't have to punish them for making mistakes. You have to encourage them for trying, right? Just recognizing their worth and their value, I think goes a long, long way. It's not always just complimenting them, telling them that they did a good job or they did a good effort, but it's recognizing their value. The fact that they still tried is very, very important. So I think these are small, certain ways they could help.
Okay. And a lot of kids might be coming to you who might be shy or introvert.
Mm-hmm.
You know, what I feel is in today's world, what I see is
Mm-hmm.
that you have to be a good communicator, you have to speak, to even
Mm-hmm.
be successful anywhere in your office.
Right, right,
Yeah.
right.
So most of the parents, they see it introversion or shyness as a
Mm-hmm.
weakness or as a problem in kids. So
Mm-hmm.
how
Mm-hmm.
do you help those kids who are shy without making them feel that there is something wrong with them?
Right. So, first off, I want to preface it by saying I don't think shyness or introversion is something, like you said, is a problem to fix. or a problem to solve, right? There are different personality types. People are very, very different. They might be introverted, they might be extroverted, there might be kids who are more ambivert. Um, I feel like for me personally, I try to create low pressure environments for them to participate, for them to participate and mingle, right? If they're answering or they're saying something, just allowing them that space. Sometimes it's not even introversion. Sometimes the child isn't being heard enough or being listened to, right? Just allowing them that opportunity, giving them small like check-ins and helping them find one or two trusted peers. They don't need to have like a whole group of friends, right? They don't need to be pushed into big social situations. It's not a problem to solve. I feel like you can just create low pressure environments where they are allowed to step into it how they feel and as they feel comfortable to open up.
Okay. And as today, we
Mhm.
are using AI and we are focusing
Mhm.
a lot on technical skills. Um, but what are the few human skills that children should develop?
I think one of the most important thing is like emotional regulation, right? I think that's widely missing. You may see a lot of kids with like temper tantrums. You may see a lot of stubborn children, like you said. They may not be able to work well with other children. I think emotional regulation, finding that baseline, being able to bounce back after a challenge and being able to take on difficult emotions is very, very important. I think that's the key for them. But also just self-awareness, I think works very well. Self-awareness as to what they're feeling, why they're feeling this way will really help in terms of emotional regulation. Lastly, I feel like one thing they need to be taught is like basic conflict resolution skills, how you're able to manage or cope in situations of conflict, because that tends to get to them a lot. They're not able to learn how to compromise or be able to give up both their goals to meet their needs correctly, right? It's always what I want. What I want has to be put forward as compared to looking at the bigger picture, right? So I think these are some skills that are very important for them to learn.
Okay. As you mentioned, self-awareness. So I feel like
Mm-hmm.
now at my age, I'm trying to,
Mm-hmm.
to know myself, to understand my
Yeah.
emotions, to be more aware about
Yeah.
myself. And
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I never had this concept like self-awareness. What is self-awareness?
Yeah. Yeah, I get it.
So,
Right.
like you do counseling for kids like they are between 9 to 16, I think. What are the age group?
Yeah. Yeah. So I work with kids between 9 to 16 currently in terms of counseling sessions. And I work with observations, like classroom observations with kids younger than 9. So it ranges from 5 to 9 for classroom observations. So yeah, there's a variety, like there's a huge age range of children I work with. So it's you get to see a lot of different developmental stages happening right there. You see your textbook developmental stages happening of Piaget right there. So it's very interesting.
Okay. So
Yeah.
coming back to my question, I was about to ask that
Mm-hmm.
when it is so difficult for me, like right now at this age, I'm trying to be more aware about myself. And
Right,
how
right,
come
right.
you help those kids who are like they're very young, those are teenagers,
Mm-hmm.
how you help them to be more aware about themselves and regulate their emotions? Because I'm at a
Mm-hmm.
when I'm not able to regulate my emotions, I try a lot, I
Right, right.
want a lot.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So how do we help
Yeah.
them?
Absolutely. I feel like one important thing in a child's curriculum would be SEL, social emotional learning. Um, See, the thing is, they have a lot of academics constantly in their classes that keep happening. But I think, like you mentioned previously, they aren't being taught a lot of skills as to how to be a person, right? I think that's one thing that's very, very important. Social emotional learning works with a lot of critical thinking, perspective building, emotional regulation, like we said, conflict resolution, helps with understanding different perspectives and how we can ingrain empathy in children, right? As a way to move forward for them. So I feel like these are things that is something that can help them build adaptability and emotional regulation. And so that they can get to the stage of self-awareness, they start with that. That baseline is already created through SEL. For them, self-awareness will be created. And that's how they work up to it. And I know a lot of students who don't have it, but we didn't have it at our time, obviously. Like that's why self-awareness comes to us a little later. But I think having it in their curriculum is very important so that they understand it's as important as academics.
Okay, so it is not specifically for the students who are coming to you for counseling. It is like your school has built that environment where all the kids are
Yes.
getting these
Yes,
trainings.
yes, yes. We have SEL classes every day for every once a week for them, and different topics are taken up for them. So it's as important. There are 1 hour lectures for them, and it's given a lot of importance for them, which is I think great.
Oh, that's great. And apart
Yeah.
from this, what are the
hmm
other things that your school is doing to create a safe environment for kids?
I think they're constantly trying to upgrade and be better themselves, trying to provide that. I think one thing is not only SEL, but it's also how normalized help seeking is in the school. Like I mentioned, our self referrals are extremely, extremely high. Self help seeking is very, very normal for the kids. They come in, they walk in, they're always allowed to look out and reach out for support. Their emotions aren't something that is stigmatized. It isn't stigmatized to go meet a counselor for something. They can get up in between class and tell their teachers that I would like to meet so and walk out of the class. They are allowed to do that because they are allowed to approach a counselor as they need. So I think help seeking behaviors are something that is very much promoted in the school. So I think that's something that's creating a very safe environment for them because instead of having certain conflicts or instead of acting out in a certain way, they're able to regulate themselves by meeting someone and talking about it, which is again the first step to self-awareness. They are able to be self-aware and approach a counselor.
And does this also happen that a kid doesn't want to come, but they come just because of their teachers or parents? That happens, and then how do you deal with those kids who don't want to participate in the counseling sessions?
Absolutely. There are some times where they are referred by um teachers or they have been referred by their parents and they don't feel comfortable coming. There are times they do voice it out, to which we have to take our discretion and allow either the student, if they voice it out a couple of times, we have to make our discretion and understand that the student does not want to be here and is feeling uncomfortable. So we may terminate, but depending on the severity of the case, we look at how what's going on with the student, like creating a very, very safe and stable environment for them, creating some kind of consistency, allowing them to come and go as they please. Also, in some way, we allow them to have these certain. We begin with rapport building, right? Every session begins with rapport building. Each case begins with rapport building. We take it very easy and slow with them. We may play games, give them, I think giving them a lot of agency in this helps, like giving them options to pick from. Would you like to do this or would you like to do that? Are you feeling comfortable enough to be here? Asking them questions. And if they are feeling like they don't want to be there, allowing them to voice that out and telling them that's okay, that they can leave as if they wish to. So I think reminding them that they have that autonomy to be there or not be there. So I think that's one thing that's very, very important. Also, adopting a more non-directive approach in terms of the therapy modality, which would be sometimes play or arts-based therapy, really helps because they feel like they're doing something creative. But at the same time, we're understanding a lot deeper about their emotions or their baseline, just understanding them much better. So I think that really helps an arts-based or play-based modality.
Okay. And I come across a lot of kids. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so there are kids who have learning disability. Okay.
Right, right.
They try a lot. but they are not able
Mm-hmm.
to learn things, they don't remember things. And
Mm-hmm.
in case of even ADHD and also few kids,
Mm-hmm.
they are not able to focus, they're anxious,
Mm-hmm.
and
Right.
parents don't understand that. They are like,
Mm-hmm.
they don't, maybe they don't study, or they are not scoring good
Mm.
in their academic. Um,
Right, right.
so, how do you help those kids who are dealing with learning disability, or who try a lot, they try hard, but still they don't get results?
Mm-hmm. Right. I feel like that comes for ADHD, we do take it up behaviorally, right? Having sessions behaviorally. When it comes to learning disabilities, they are recommended or pointed towards the direction of a special educator to work on remedial. But I do understand when it comes to that point where they do have self-esteem issues in LD, where they don't understand certain things, they're not able to grasp certain things. They feel as though they're not trying well enough, they're not as good as their peers. So that does become a counseling case then. So a lot of parents do tend to label them as lazy, like you said, they lazy, or they're not interested in studies. But I think it's very, very important to be mindful as to how you're dealing with neurodivergent children, right? You're not going to expect the same out of them. You're going to have to navigate your way through very differently. And I think once you're able to change that approach towards them, that it's okay that they're behaving like this. It's a developmental issue. It's not something that is their fault or it's their choice, right? And if you are allowing that safe space for them to be able to be who they are and as they are, I think they can do wonders. I don't think there's anything that's limiting them or this is something that pushes them back. I think that makes them just that much better and that much more adaptable to normal environments because as compared to a neurotypical person, they're able to adapt and be resilient. So like you see it much better. They're much more adaptable, much more resilient as compared to neurotypical people. So I think that's just something we have to keep in mind. It's honestly a strength that they have, that they're able to get through situations so well.
Okay. And as you initially
Yeah.
mentioned, children are very observant. They observe everything,
Right, 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 right.
their parents' behavior.
Mm-hmm.
So, uh, when parents are going through something, some difficulties in their life,
Mm-hmm.
maybe children
Mm-hmm.
observe that, they understand it, and a lot of
Yeah.
kids, they get very anxious about it, or maybe
Mm.
they go through difficult phase. So parents should really share these things if they're going through something in their lives. They should share it with the kid, or they should hide it from
Mhm.
them.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a very important question. I think honestly, as a parent, you have to have your discretion as to what you share and what you don't share with the child. One thing that's important is the child is not your friend. You can't always share things. They're not an adult. They don't know how the world works as of yet. So you telling them your problems. I think I see a lot of parents in general outside, like share a lot of things that they shouldn't be sharing, their problems or in their life to the children. The children tend to become a little more anxious because, oh, my parent is going through so much, right? And they take that burden upon themselves when it's just a parent that is complaining, but to them, it's like, oh my God, things are not going right with my parents. What do I do? What do I do? At that point, children aren't someone, they don't have those inner resources to be able to stabilize themselves and help out other people, right? They are dependent beings, they're dependent on their parents. So their parents have to be someone they look up to who are very independent and have things that are that seem structurally okay, that they aren't going through as many problems. It's okay that they're going through problems, but not sharing details is very important. Supposing if you're having some kind of issues in their marriage, the parents are having some kind of marital issues, I don't think it's appropriate to involve the children in this, right? It just makes them more anxious, and there's not anything that they can do because that anxiety comes in because they can't seem to figure out how to help the parents because these two adults, that child is not someone who's an adult who's able to give out solutions or help out in any kind of way. So I think it's very important for parents to remember the child is not your friend. Sharing things has to be to a limit about your problems in your life.